Episode 160.
Right now, I'm involved in some autonomous vehicle legislation, and we're being very cautious about it. But what I wanted to do out of the forefront before these cars even hit the road was protect our repair facilities from liability, just like they did the vehicle manufacturers and the vendors. So again, it's kind of being involved, getting into the training and education side of things. The cars today are changing as fast as computers were in the 80s and 90s. If you're buying them, they're almost obsolete. And if you doubt that, as you're working on today's cars, some of the VIN decoding right now is looking for a mid-model year change on some vehicles where they've upgraded computers. So if that isn't a sign that tomorrow's cars are going to be even more advanced, you got a shock coming at you.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to On Point from Remarkable Results Radio and a special interview from an auto care industry professional. On Point. Hey, aftermarketers, you're listening to Remarkable Results Radio with Carm Capriato. Hey, it's the place where ideas, insights, expertise, trends, and personal achievement is served up twice a week. And today I'm with Ray Fisher in episode 160. And as always, see the show notes at remarkableresults.biz/E160. Hey, this episode is brought to you by my sponsor, Federal Mogul Motor Parts and Garage Gurus, for serious technical training and support. Online, on-site, and on demand, Garage Gurus is everything you need to know. Find out more at fmgaragegurus.com. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to the Podcast Insider newsletter at remarkableresults.biz/subscribe, or subscribe to your favorite smartphone listening portal like Apple iTunes, Google Play Music, Spreaker, or Stitcher Radio. If you don't know, every new episode comes directly to your smartphone, and it's a great way to keep current. Whether you are ready to start that jog, go for the walk, hike in the woods like me and Ann did just yesterday, sit on the back deck, you get the picture. Every episode will be there for you. I had the pleasure to meet Ray Fisher, the Executive Director of ASA Michigan at NACE Cars 2016 in Anaheim, California. And after just 5 minutes of talk, I knew you needed to hear from Ray. You may say that associations are not for you, so you're not going to listen. But stop. You may say that legislation is not for you. Stop. Don't miss this episode. You are hearing from a state executive director that is very involved in legislation. However, this episode is so enlightening, it may just change how you think about association involvement and the impact and power of legislation. Ray Fisher, AAM, has been recognized 2 years in a row at the ASA AMI Award Ceremony with the ASA Legislative Award. It recognizes those who have made an impact on legislative and regulatory activities. Now, Michigan has a technician licensing program, and Ray speaks to it and the law that is over 40 years old. Want a real thought-inducer episode? You are here. Our talk covers how Michigan is working on prototype legislation for technician licensing, and Ray's feelings who should be the testing source. You'll hear him talk on autonomous car legislation and how he is looking to protect the independents. He talks repair facility licensing, safety inspections, and why getting involved is such an important part of your personal responsibility as an industry player. Now here we go with Ray Fisher. A warm welcome to Ray Fisher, Executive Director of ASA Michigan. Ray, are you ready to go on point?
Yes, I am. Glad to be here, Carm.
Hey, thanks for being here. I know you're a busy guy. Legislation. I want to talk about legislation, but I want to tell my listener, please don't turn off your MP3 player because I have to tell you, the government is your partner as a business person. Am I right?
Well, if they're not your partner, you need to make them your partner, because the bottom line is, as we know, sometimes regulations and legislation's not going to go away, so you make the best of it. And I try to take any negative and turn it into an opportunity and take the challenge.
As an executive director, a really big portion of what you have to worry about, though, for your membership is to keep an eye on what's going on in Michigan in the legislation, right?
Oh, absolutely, Carm. And, I kind of look at it as like consumers do oil changes.
Okay.
You don't like to maintain your car necessarily and get the oil changes when you're supposed to, but by the same token, it's very costly if you don't pay attention to it. And I look at legislation for our shops the same way.
Yeah, it's a rare breed of businessman that likes legislation. I have to tell you, and I'm sure you have members. And we of course have that nationally that support. They go to your capital. What's the capital of Michigan?
It's Lansing.
Okay, so they like to go to Lansing. They'd probably love to pick up the phone and have a frank discussion with their legislator, right?
Well, and usually it's in the emotional stage that they do that,
okay.
Which isn't as constructive.
I hear you.
But I do have members that are advocates, or at the grassroots level at least, because they realize that the impact it can have on its business can be significant, and so therefore, when there's going to be rules, why not make them the best they can be?
So ASA Michigan's been quite busy, I hear. I saw you in Anaheim for the last 12 to 18 months doing just legislative work. So what's going on and why?
Well, for about 10 years, we talked about it at a lot of our meetings that we were going to update the Motor Vehicle Service Repair Act, because Michigan's one of the states that requires licensing for repair facilities and technicians. And, 42 years ago is when that law went into place. And I think if you look at a 1974 Chevrolet Impala compared to a 2016 Impala, they've changed it a little bit. So
somewhat different, yes.
Right. So, it was imperative that we take that on. The members had asked us to follow it through. We decided it was an important venture. And for the last 6 years, we've been focusing on that with the Secretary of State's office and doing just that. And of course, there's some other bills that have come along. When you get involved in these types of things, suddenly you're asked for your professional opinion, which is just wonderful. That's where you need to be, because sometimes legislators, they don't know your industry. So as a result, they're trying to make decisions, but they're not educated in that aspect. So anytime we can educate them to make the best decision, it's always in our favor, and it's worked very well without the industry knowing it, but it's worked very well for the industry here in Michigan.
You said technician licensing. Now, I know that's a hot topic here in the entire U.S.
Right. Yes, it is. And, there's pros and cons to both licensed technicians and not having licensed technicians. Again, I look at it as we're professionals. When I look at what our technicians do, both in the collision industry and the mechanical industry in today's vehicles, they have to be professional about it. We are no longer that stereotype that you see on Dateline, where they're trying to take advantage of a customer. That's not what most of our industry is about, and we need to get a better image out there to the people.
Boy,
and
that's true. Yeah.
We're hiring basically IT people and then teaching them about cars today on diagnostics. And I compare it to doctors. The human body really hasn't changed since we were born.
There's two models, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the body itself has two livers and kidney, or it has your liver and your kidneys and so forth.
Sure.
But today's vehicles, not only are the symptoms changing, but the cars are too. So, yes, we have different diseases when it comes to the medical profession, and different things that hit us, but the foundation is the same. That's not true in today's automobiles.
So I'm from New York. We have registered repair shops. They have to, put up a green sign that says, I'm registered. We also have inspections, vehicle inspections. In Michigan, your license for repair facilities, is it just basically pay a fee and get a sign?
Some will say that, Carm. But during the recession, staffing got quite diminished to enforce. And that was the worst time possible, because that's when our guys were trying to survive and were really counting on the state to do what they were paying the state to do. I'm happy to say that since then they've got back to full staffing, and they're enforcing. And actually last winter they shut down 6 repair facilities for breaking the law and not wanting to adopt.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's a step forward, and nobody likes to see anybody put out of business, but the right people should be. If they're not playing by the rules, we got to look at what the other 9,000 plus repair facilities are doing right.
I'm talking with Mike Zralik, a technical product specialist with Federal Mogul Motor Parts. So you have this van, and it's the Guru on the Go van, and it's all nicely decked out, and you drop by for lunches and learns. How do shops get a chance to get that van to come to their place?
Well, they can, of course, call into our Guru hotline and request it. They can talk to their parts distributor, and through that channel, we can go out and do some training, or even with us out in the field. If they see us, we do various warehouse distributor type shows, many different events. We're out there everywhere. Just come by and ask, and we'll be more than happy to come by.
Hey, Mike, if I said you were a champion for Federal Mogul Motor Parts, would I be right?
You betcha.
So give me an example.
I live, eat, breathe Federal Mogul on a daily basis. Growing up, being in the racing industry, I knew a lot about Moog. I loved Moog. Felpro, same thing. To go out and be able to talk about a company this big, this strong, it makes me happy every single day. I'm so excited to do it on a day in and day out basis.
What are technicians saying after you're done with your presentation?
When can you come back? They want more day in and day out.
They want more, and you have more to give. You've got so many key product lines in the industry.
Oh, we have a ton of product lines and a ton of training that's available, with those product lines and on a technical side too.
How dazzled are the techs to see that compression-loaded ball joint with the pre-installed integral dust boot?
They come unglued. They are so excited about that because less frustrations. They've been dealing with issues in the field of damaging that boot during installation, and it makes it so much easier to put in. And it's a beautiful piece.
Federal Mogul Motor Parts' Garage Gurus is your go-to source for the vehicle training, technology, and answers you need to keep your next job on track. On-site, online, or on demand, the Gurus are here to help keep your business and your career on the road to success. Visit fmgarageguru.com. Now, you were in Anaheim at NACE Cars.
Yes.
That's when I met you for the first time, and thanks for coming on. Some folks, there was some discussion, some roundtable discussion on licensing, technician licensing, and repair facilities. And a lot of folks said, hey, listen, license the repair facilities, that's enough. Now, others think that technicians need to be licensed. What are your thoughts? And what's Michigan doing? As you said, they have something, and what are you helping them think for the future?
Again, as we go towards being professional and some of the vehicles, one of the things that has allowed us to be here is deemed the repair professional. So when it comes down to legalities, the ultimate decision is if they're a licensed technician, let's say you've got an insurance company involved, whether it's an extended warranty or a collision-related auto collision or something like that, mm-hmm. The bottom line is the state's recognizing us as the expert because they are licensed in that category and the others don't need to be licensed. So an insurance adjuster, for example, is not licensed. And so in the court of law, we are the expert, and that's deemed by the law.
I got a million questions going through my mind, and so do our listeners. I wish they had an 800 number and they could call in right now and start asking you all these great questions. The great questions would be, who determines, who writes the questions? How do you recertify? Land this thing somewhere for me.
Well, one of the things that we've been working with the Secretary of State's office, because they're the ones ultimately responsible for licensing, is kind of moving them away from being testing agency. And, currently under the current structure, they allow an ASE certified technician to apply for a license, present the certificate, pay the fee of $20, and they can get their license here in the state of Michigan.
So all you have to have is an ASE qualification?
For the area that you're going into. Let's say it be electrical.
Okay.
So if you are an ASE certified technician, then you can turn that certificate in and become licensed here in the state of Michigan with a $20 fee. The state also has an option where you can do testing at the local facilities, but they're antiquated. They haven't been able to keep up with it. And so one of the things we're pushing for is have the state get away from testing and let it go to a third party like ASE who stays up on their credentials, so to speak.
I would think it would be the biggest crime of the century to have government involved. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you agree or disagree with me.
On testing?
Yes.
Yes. Like I said, some of the questions that are in today's tests are from the 70s and 80s.
Okay, so ASE, have you actually sat down with the gang at ASE and said, hey, can you help? What's going on? What's the future look like?
Actually, we've done that at the national level as far as talking about different things, and I know where they're at. So now what I have to do is get that big dinosaur to move towards ASE, and we've had very good discussions as we were making some progress a little over a year ago. The person who was in charge of that unfortunately passed away suddenly within the Secretary of State's office, a great guy and tremendous loss. But we've got some good relationships in place, and I don't think it's a matter of if we'll get there. I think it's when we'll get there, which is a good thing to say.
So it's not if, it's when, and you believe that Michigan is building a prototype that everyone can take a look at?
I'd like to think so. It's been a lot of work, and since we've required it since '74 that technicians be certified, I'd like to stay at the forefront and make sure we're getting into that proactive mode rather than reactive, because reactive takes so much time and resource. So we're getting proactive on it.
So how many executive directors in the associations in the U.S. Are you in touch with about this?
Well, we have our annual meeting usually around the end of April, first part of May, and at that point we have a meeting with all of the executive directors for the affiliates, and we kind of bring each other up to speed of what we've been doing, because each one of us has different requests or demands from our membership. Yeah. And so we share notes, share ideas, and try to make the best cake we can together.
You know, I want to give you an invite right now. We got to do a town hall on this subject, and would you be one of my panelists?
If I'm available, sure.
Of course, we'll work around your schedule. And that's how every guest gets on the show. We work around their schedule. Hey, there's a great deal of talk within ASA about the need for safety inspections. I don't believe Michigan does this at the current rate. You have licenses, but you don't do vehicle inspections. What's your thoughts?
There again, we like to think that everybody's playing by the rules and everybody's doing the right thing, but unfortunately, and we're seeing it more and more in the headlines, I don't think society's headed in a moral situation currently, as we read in some of the headlines. So sometimes we have to do that push, and I personally think that my family is very close to me. It's what I live for, and I will do anything and everything I can to protect them and my friends and my peers and colleagues. And so my personal answer is that I think that cars should be safe on the road, and it's like anything else. If you got nothing to hide, don't worry about it then.
Got it. I mean, do you believe that a car that's 1 year old, 2, 3 years old needs to be inspected?
Well, if you talk with the vehicle manufacturers and see some of the warranty claims because they didn't have oil changes done properly, you'd probably answer that, even they should be inspected. However, I'm sure that the lobbying group may say, well, during the warranty, the car's at the dealership or service station getting it checked out.
You're so right. We have vehicle safety inspections in New York State. And, I recall when I worked in corporate America and I was flying everywhere, it was great to, stop and look, my wife says you got to get your car inspected, which means probably I haven't had the oil looked at in a while either, right? And so It was a great chance to go in and they says, car, by the way, shoemaker holes in his shoes, right? You got to get an oil change at the same time. It says, thank God you brought it in.
Yeah.
So I guess that to your point, if the car could be looked at no matter how old it is, it's really going to do you good.
Right. And that being said, I don't think it should be an astronomical fee to the consumer. I think somehow we've got to brainstorm this a little bit, how we can do it effectively and cost effectively, but at the same token be affordable and have integrity.
Got it. What's the price that you think? What's the price point?
I don't know.
Okay, just checking.
I don't. Right now, for example, Carm, we're updating the Motor Vehicle Service Repair Act, and one of the requirements is that anything over $20 on the current law, anything over $20 needs to have a written estimate. We're working to have that moved to 50. We tried for 100, but the state felt that was too much for consumers. So I guess going on that criteria, I'd say somewhere around $50 to $100. But I don't want to have tomatoes thrown at me, so I just think we need to brainstorm that a little bit and figure out how we can do it.
All right. So, hey, if someone was to ask you, how could they get involved? Should they get involved in legislation? What would you recommend they do?
Well, that's a good question. I think, first of all, they should maybe talk to, if they're an affiliated state of or region of ASA, talk to their executive director. If not, we have Bob Redding in Washington, D.C., who's our lobbyist, and he's watching out on the national issues as well as partaking in some of the local issues at the state level. Reach out to your own representative or senator within the state and talk to them. Many times there's legislation you can kind of track and just key in certain words where it pop up into your email, just so you can kind of track it a little bit. But the big thing is be aware, and if you don't have the resources, support it somehow, whether it's financial, grassroots, whatever it takes. Be involved.
I think in your own words, you said one day, you just can't sit on the park bench.
Correct. Forever I've been involved in the industry. Before I was an executive director, I managed a dealership for 20 plus years, and Lily Talman's got a very good quote. And it's something to the fact of somebody should do something about this. And then I realized I'm somebody. And, I've been involved in the industry both on training side, both at a local level, volunteer, in a church and so forth. And, we just have to be involved. You can't just go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, go home at 5 o'clock at night, and think that that's our obligation. We have more than that.
Yeah, what a perfect segue. Perfect segue, because in August of 2016, you were recognized at the AMI Awards ceremony. Now, don't be so humble here. It was the ASA Legislative Award, recognizing those, basically you, who have made an impact on legislative and regulatory activities. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. And it was a surprise and very welcoming to be recognized. But, I do it because that's the right thing to do for the industry.
And, by the way, everyone, it was the second year in a row. You win one and you say, I wonder if, okay. Oh, a son of a gun, I'm surprised. But you know what? Based on our interview here today and all that I know you got going on, well deserving.
Well, thank you, Carm.
What are some words of advice moving forward that you would like to share with others?
Well, we've got quite a few things going on right now with new cars coming out, and that's going to be your future tomorrow. And you have to watch trends. Watch the sales trends. When new car sales go up, that tells you that in a few years you're going to be seeing new cars and you're going to see new technologies. So if you're not getting trained or educated or learning at some point, it's time to. Or figure out when you're going to retire. There's too many items. Right now I'm involved in some autonomous vehicle legislation, and we're being very cautious about it. But what I wanted to do out of the forefront before these cars even hit the road was protect our repair facilities from liability, just like they did the vehicle manufacturers and the vendors. So again, it's kind of being involved, getting into the training and education side of things. The cars today are changing as fast as computers were in the 80s and 90s. If you're buying them, they're almost obsolete.
Sure.
And if you doubt that, as you're working on today's cars, some of the VIN decoding right now is looking for a mid-model year change on some vehicles where they've upgraded computers. So if that isn't a sign that tomorrow's cars are going to be even more advanced, you got a shot coming at you. So get involved.
Automotive service or automotive science?
I think they're merging, aren't they?
That's the best answer I've had. I ask an awful lot of my guests that what's the difference or what do they prefer, and that's probably one of the best answers. They're merging. Yes, they are. Hey, I had a blast. By the way, anytime something comes up and you feel that my listeners have to hear about it,
okay,
pick up the phone. Let's do a quick episode and get the thinking, the thoughts out there that have to happen. Because, man, you are at the center point of this. You and Bob Redding, right? Are you guys the two big legislative guys?
We're tag teaming right this minute, yeah.
I kind of thought so. Hey, you got any great wise words to live by that you always think about?
Yeah, being here in Michigan, Henry Ford started the automobile industry going here in the United States, and he's got a great quote, and that is, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So I think that's something to live by, and I like to think I can.
Great. Hey, thanks for being on.
Thank you, Carm. Have a great day.
You too. Hey, Aftermarketers, thanks for joining Ray Fisher and me with a very powerful discussion on the impact of safety inspections and technician licensing, among a whole bunch of others that can and will impact your future. For an in-depth episode experience, don't miss the show notes for this episode with Ray. Find them at remarkableresults.biz/E160. Any questions or comments? Email me at carm@remarkableresults.biz or head over to the contact page on the website. You're an important reason I bring you these interviews, so you can profit from the answers found in each episode. So help spread the word via social or email, because your help is needed to share the wisdom and grow this very important industry resource. I'm grateful and very thankful for your support. Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from another inspiring aftermarket professional. Until next time.